Hey guys, it's John here from Sonic Drive Studio. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Today we're back with another guitar demo / review, and this one is going to be all about the ESP LTD SC-608B 8-string baritone Stephen Carpenter signature model. Wow, what a mouthful. But check out this awesome guitar. It's such a beautiful axe, don't you think? This guitar definitely has a very special and unique look to it. There is no other guitar that looks like this. In fact, there are not many, if any at all, 8-string production models with a red sparkle finish, so that's pretty cool. I've been wanting to add this guitar to my collection for quite a while because, as you all know, I'm a huge Deftones and Stephen Carpenter fan. I have a bunch of other ESP LTD Stephen Carpenter signature models, a couple 7-strings and a 6-string as well. I've already done some demo and review videos on those guitars as well, so be sure to check those out. Anyway, so I did not have the 8-string model yet. I used to have the black SC-608B years ago, but I got rid of that one. I sold it, and that old black one was not bad at all. It was a great guitar, but this one is really much better, and we'll get into the details right now. Let's go over the sound and feel of this guitar before we go into the technical details. So as you heard in the intro of this video, this thing sounds monstrous. It sounds so huge. It sounds quite a bit different than my 29.4 Ibanez Meshuggah 8-string guitar, which sounds very clear and very articulate. When you compare the sound of this guitar to that Ibanez, I would say that this one has a bit of a thicker and fuller and more sort of gurgly sound on the low F sharp, but it does sound really great and I really love it. I hope that the riffs in the intro gave a good impression already of how this guitar sounds. I really love how it sounds. For the shorter 8-string scale, which is 27 inches long, this thing still has a very clear and articulate sound. And you'll get to hear more of this guitar in a minute. This guitar sounds great by itself when unplugged. It has a very open and resonant sound to it, and that's a quality that I really love and find important in my guitars. So this one is just great when it comes to the main ingredient, the wood. So the wood on this guitar is great and it makes it sound amazing. Of course, the pickups also have a lot to do with the sound when it's plugged in, but we'll get into that in a minute. So it sounds great, but does it play great? Well, I can tell you it plays very great. I got the action of the strings very nice and low, and the gauges that I chose for the F-sharp standard tuning are very nice as well. I'm using Elixir strings, and I'm using a regular set of 9s for the bottom 6 strings, and then I believe a 54 for the low B, and a 74 for the low F sharp, just a regular guitar Elixir string. I'm saying that because for my Ibanez I like to use a bass string by Elixir. For that one I use a 70 gauge bass string, and they don't have the 70 gauge strings for guitar, but they do have the 74, which is just great for this scale length. I highly recommend it for 27-inch guitars. The tension is just perfect for F sharp, and the sound is very nice as well. So yeah, the frets are perfectly leveled, which is very nice if you want low action without fret buzz. So it plays so nice, buttery and smooth. So yeah, all of that is great. The neck itself is quite thin for an 8-string. It's not the thinnest neck that I've ever played on an 8-string, but I think that it's still very comfortable to play. The neck obviously gets a little bit thicker here where the neck meets the body, but the upper fret access is still excellent. Overall, it's a very comfortable guitar to play, and it sounds really good. So I'm super impressed, really impressed. And now before we go on with the nitty-gritty details of this guitar, let's listen to a couple more riffs. And just as with the riffs in the intro, I'm just using the bridge pickup here, and I am using voicing 1, which is the sort of active EMG-like voicing. Alright, so here we go, and enjoy. Alright, I hope you enjoyed those riffs. That low F sharp sounds so thick and fat, don't you think? But still clear, so yeah, really loving the sound of this one. Now let's get into some of the finer details of this guitar. Let's start off with the body. So this guitar has the usual SC body shape, which I think is just based on the ESP Horizon model. It's a nice body shape overall, and I always really like how they add some shape and contours to the top of this guitar. Not sure if you can see that. The body wings have been made out of mahogany, and the neck is made out of maple, and it's a neck-through guitar. So just as with the other Stephen Carpenter models, the neck is going all the way through the body. This helps immensely with the sound and sustain of this guitar. So I really love the fact that they made this neck-through. I don't think there are a lot of neck-through 8-string production guitars out there, so it's a feature that I can really appreciate. So yes, neck-through, mahogany body, maple neck, that's the basic gist of it. And like I said before, it sounds very resonant and open, so that's a great quality to have. I think the fact that the strings go through the body also helps a little bit with that. So we have a hip shot bridge over here, simple and effective design, I like it. And then we have a 3-way selector switch. The first position is just the bridge pickup alone. The second position is these two pickups combined. And the third position is just this middle pickup on its own. And then we have a basic tone control and also a volume control, which also functions as a push-pull. And you can use that to change the voicings of the Fishman pickups. Now, I've read a lot of things about these Stephen Carpenter Fishman pickups. I personally love them, but I know that there are guys out there who absolutely hate them. Like I said, I'm not one of them. I like them. I do prefer the active voicing, but the passive voicing is quite cool as well. It sounds more dynamic and it sounds more crisp in the high end, but the low end is a bit thicker on that voicing as well, so you may need to change the amp, pedal, or modeler setting to suit that voicing. I've prepared a little A/B comparison between voicing 1 and 2 for the bridge pickup, and we're going to check that out now. So as you heard, the active voicing sounds more compressed, tight, and clear. And the passive voicing has a more dynamic sound, but with a thicker low end. So if you're going to use the passive mode on the Stephen Carpenter pickups, especially with low tunings, I recommend using some type of pedal going into the amp, just to get rid of some of the mud going into the distortion of the amp, and to make the guitar sound more tight overall. With the active mode on these pickups, it kind of sounds as if there already is a pedal in the chain. So that's a really nice feature to have. The neck or middle pickup on this guitar has been lowered, as you can see. And this just helps with making room for my guitar pick. So the output of this pickup is also slightly lower than this one because of that. But like I said, I really don't use this pickup a lot. Just for clean tones basically, and sometimes for lead tones. So right now let's take a listen to some more clean or broken up tones. And for that, I'm going to use the middle position. So that's the position that uses those pickups both at the same time. And for this segment, I'm going to stick with the active voicing, so the push-pull control will be down. All right, let's take a listen and enjoy. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that. Let's go on and talk a little bit more about the features of this guitar. Before we go on to the neck, let's just go ahead and appreciate the finish on this guitar. This guitar has a red sparkle finish, quite unique, especially for an 8-string guitar. I'm not sure how this looks on camera, but in person it looks really nice and very unique indeed. Very sparkly. So let's go over to the neck. So like I said before, it's a 27-inch baritone scale guitar that helps a lot with low tunings. But to be honest, it's not that long for an 8-string guitar. Like I said before, my Ibanez is 29.4 inches long, which is quite a bit longer than this one. I've also had some 8-string guitars in the past that were 28 or 28.6 inches long. But despite the fact that this scale is relatively short for an 8-string, it still sounds, plays and functions just fine with the 27 inches. So I would not worry about that. Now, if you're going to go super low, drop E or drop E flat, or maybe even lower, you might want to consider a longer scale length. But I do think you should be able to get away with something like drop E with a thick string, perhaps with an 80, which is also the gauge that Stephen Carpenter himself uses for drop E. So yeah, I don't mind the scale length of this guitar at all. It's long enough for the low notes to sound clear, but it's also short enough to be comfortable for lead playing and for bends and stuff like that. The fretboard material is Macassar ebony again. It's the type of wood that they've been using a lot recently on guitars, and I am a fan. It looks nice. It's not as black as the old ebony that we're used to on older models, but it still has a very nice and dark color. Just as with the other Stephen Carpenter models, the neck has some white binding on it, which looks classy and nice. And on the back here of the neck and headstock, we have this volute thing going on, which supposedly helps with the stability of the neck. Let's take a look at the headstock. So we have a very cool, aggressive and mean headstock going on here. What's kind of cool and unique about this guitar when you compare it to other 8-strings is the fact that it has all the tuners in line over here. It does make the headstock longer, but it makes it look kind of cool and aggressive. So I think this headstock looks really nice. As you've probably noticed, I've got some tape up here as well. I'm doing that basically just to mute the strings and to mute any unwanted resonant noises. So yeah, those were the specs and technical details of this guitar. As I said before, I really love this guitar. It sounds great, it plays great, it looks amazing, everything works as it should. So I'm a very happy camper. If you have any questions about this guitar or any other guitar in my collection, please be sure to drop a comment down below. As some of you already know, I really enjoy interacting with you guys, and I always do my best to answer all of your questions. And before we go on to listen to the final riffs of this video, I'd like to ask you to please hit the subscribe button along with the notification bell, and also like the video, as that always helps. And you can also follow Sonic Drive Studio on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy these final riffs, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!